Hello, Murray Newlands with YourStory here in San Francisco with Owen Thomas, editor of ReadWrite, a news, technology, and information site. So, thank you very much for being on the show. We're both talking at the PR Summit coming up very shortly. What would you say is the future of publishing?
Well, the future of publishing is widely distributed, I would say, but unevenly. And what I mean by that is a lot of people have access to the tools to publish. That's been a theme of ReadWrite since our very beginning 11 years ago. But the access to tools does not guarantee access to an audience. People are going to have to struggle more and more to find audiences and to retain them because it's easier than ever to publish. So I think that's the fundamental challenge of the new publishing environment.
So, how are you looking to thrive within that? What's working particularly well for you guys?
So ReadWrite has a specific point of view on technology. We've always believed in the democratization of access to technology in all fields, in all walks of life, for all purposes. And so we write about technology in that context. Is this something that's going to open up technology to more people? Is it going to give them more power over their lives? I don't think everyone else has that same kind of specificity about technology. It's just kind of a lump of a topic, like, oh, let's write about tech because tech is popular. Well, I just don't think that's enough. You have to communicate what you stand for to readers every day in every article.
And what are the articles that really resonate well and are taking up with your readership? And how do you work as a team to make sure that what you're writing catches that imagination?
It's so interesting what kind of catches fire. If you think about the traditional quote unquote consumer topics, those are not always what proves to be most popular with our audience. And that's because I don't think people live fragmented lives. I don't think they view themselves as, I'm a consumer, in other words, a gadget buyer, and that's all I am. I'm a technology worker, slash enterprise reader, and that's all I am. I'm a technology business person, and that's all I am. We like to put people in these very narrow categories, and that doesn't reflect their lived relationship with technology. So it's things that actually cut across categories and speak to people in multiple ways. A great example from the past year of a story that really surprised us is Google's Chromecast device. So this is a little thing you plug into the back of your TV, and it connects your TV to the internet. It smartens it up for the low price of $35. So that low price point made it a great consumer story. This is a gadget you can buy. It changes one of the kind of key devices in your house, changes how it functions, lets you kind of take command of it. Now, for people who might identify themselves as developers, it's a whole new platform. This is something you can play with. Suddenly you have to ask yourself, do I want to enable my apps for Chromecast? Is this a way to get into the living room? For business people, suddenly there are a bunch of questions you have to ask, like, does this upend the whole cable business model? How do we adapt? Do we want to stop being a channel and start being an app instead? And the thing is, everyone reading this story probably feels a little bit of a tug in all three of those directions. It's not like they live these kind of monochromatic, single-threaded lives. Our lives are multi-threaded. And so a story like that, which hits all of those angles for our audience and speaks to them as complete human beings having relationships with technology, really take off.
Fantastic. Now, apart from media, it is also a PR summit. What do you see the future of PR, and how are great companies grabbing your attention?
So I think that the first thing that people in the PR business need to do is think about what business they're in. Are you in the business of public relations? Are you in the business of hassling journalists? I think if you think of yourself as primarily pitching journalists and trying to coax them, cajole them, goad them into writing something, then you need to rethink everything about what you're doing. Because the point is to relate to the public. Your clients can do that directly. They don't necessarily need your help, and they don't necessarily need to go through an editorial gatekeeper. And for me, that's good and that's bad. I mean, would I prefer that everyone just be compelled to listen to me because they have no other options? I mean, that sounds like an easier life, but it's not the life we've chosen. Brands can communicate directly with their fans. Companies that create kind of these malleable technological objects can communicate directly with the people who want to take those and pick them apart and make new things with them. Call it developers, makers, builders, whatever. And so, you know, I see I see publications like ReadWrite taking on a very new role in that landscape. We are guides, we are explorers. We're helping to map the technological universe for our readers. And that's very different from kind of putting an official stamp on things, which I think is the old media model, being the whatever of record. Well, the record is distributed all over the place. Anyone can create a record these days. And so you need to stop thinking of yourself as having that kind of role.
Who do you see doing this really well?
Um,
Who communicates
yeah.
really, really well?
Oh, who does public relations really well? I find that my eyes light up a little when I see a well-crafted email from, say, the principal of a very small boutique agency. You know, I'm going to get myself in trouble and name names, but I really like Brew PR in New York. I like the Hatch Agency in San Francisco, and I will hope my friends at other small agencies don't take offense that I don't name them by name. But those are good examples. They're very small. They're kind of founder driven, and I know the principles. Um, that's a very different kind of relationship than I have with the bigger agencies, where frankly I've taken some and just sent their domain to straight to archive, and their emails never hit my inbox.
Because possibly it's not a relationship.
It's not a relationship. That I feel like I'm just a checkbox where they can say that they contacted 500 journalists and got 5 hits back, and aren't they great for that success rate?
If people want to build a relationship, if they want to reach out to you, how do they connect with you?
Um, I'm fairly open. I'm reachable on Twitter as @Owen Thomas. My email is on my Twitter bio, and it amazes me. I get Twitter direct messages asking for my email address. That always gives me a kick. Um, but I think I'm pretty easy to reach. The thing is, I'm inundated, so I guarantee you I will only read your subject line. If I don't know you already, and I don't know the thing that you're communicating with me about, like if it's not a company that I am already covering, which is a fairly small slate, odds are that you're going to get marked as read and archived. Um, and that's just the only way I can live. And I think that that's increasingly true for everyone. I mean, again, like the barrier to access, the barrier to entry to just sending a message out is low, which means that the signal to noise ratio is also low.
If you could wish for one change in your job or the world that we live in PR and journalism, what would that be?
I think that the focus needs to be more on the reader for everyone. I mean, if you want to have a relationship with me, that's great. But don't you ultimately want to have a relationship with my readers? So if you just put the reader first, and like really put the reader first, which is means think about the reader like I have, where I've done an analysis of kind of how our readers don't fit well into these narrow categories, and I assign stories, I edit stories, I write stories every day with that in mind. I think you need to do that same kind of analysis and not just put publications in kind of these easy categories. Do the hard work, and engage in conversations about that. I would much rather talk about ReadWrite first than have you go straight into a pitch.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Myron Newlands with Your Story from San Francisco. I'll see you next time.